Good night to you for now. I'll come back later at the end of the session and I will get Roncar. One moment, please. Good evening. It is I, Roncar. It is my pleasure to be with you in this evening. On this coming weekend, you have your country, the United States, dedicates the Sunday, the second Sunday in May, to motherhood. And so I was thinking it would be a good talk to give a talk on the divine feminine, or all the attributes about motherhood. Not just motherhood, but female. Because everything in the universe has two aspects within it, the male and the female. They are equal to one another, and they are different from one another. In times past, in many societies, they looked as masculine, as being the most important. But it takes two. It takes two to bring about anything that is occurring, where there are distinctly different characteristics which go with the masculine and with the feminine. The masculine initiates and starts things, but it is the feminine that carries the burden of making them come to fruition and be complete. For you see, it is the sustaining nature is accrued or attributed to the feminine gender that is present in all things. If you think of your average tree that is happening right now, you are seeing the evidence of the feminine in action. For many of them have brought forth flowers, and flowers bring forth the seeds that is necessary for procreation and to establish more trees of each variety. This is the job of the female or the feminine gender. It is to nurture, it is to grow, it is to bring fruitfulness forth. This is not to denigrate in any way the masculine principle, for it is totally necessary to have the masculine principle. And within the divine feminine lies the seeds that are part of the masculine within herself. Each female has a masculine side to herself. It is not the one that is most prominent within women. It is there and can be developed and can become even dominant within the female personality. But it is a mistake to try to denigrate or to put aside the value of the feminine. For the feminine, with its nurturing, its sustaining nature, is what brings this creation into fulfillment in every way. Everything that is started by the masculine is completed by the feminine. And while some women seem to feel resentful of that role, it is actually very fulfilling if they allow themselves to rejoice in their completed projects. One should not dominate the other. In other words, the male should not dominate the female, and the female side should not dominate the male. They are both necessary. They are both important. And in order to continue the continuation of this world, this universe, you are using, or there is the sustaining aspect of God, the feminine side of God, the power of God. And so, you should all rejoice in your feminine sides. It does not matter if you are a male or you are a female. You all have that feminine side. And while the male individual may not use his nurturing side as much as the female, just as the female may not use her starting side, I don't know what word to use, the creative side. But nothing could be finished within this creation if it were not for the feminine. So therefore, she must be honored, as most of you will choose to honor the mother in your life on this Sunday, to say thank you for whatever the mother has done for you, to know that without her, you would not be here. Without her, you would not have grown unless someone took her place. Many people have been deprived of their mothers, and they are always lacking in that regard, unless they got a good substitute for a mother, someone who took over the mothering and sustaining and the nurturing. The mother tends to have a great deal of patience, and this is necessary for the mother, for there is much waiting to be done from the feminine side of things. You cannot hurry procreation. You cannot hurry creation. You need to be attentive to the needs of others or to the needs of that creative act that you are participating in, so that you bring forth and nurture within that creative act that which is meant to be manifested. So I have kind of wandered around in my discussion in this way. It is just that it is important for everyone to value what they have and what they are in every way. The feminine must be honored, and so must the masculine, but we will talk about that at another time. And I would like to answer any questions that you might have at this time. Well, I see I have not stimulated you enough to elicit questions. Is there anything else you would like to talk about? All right, then let us talk a little bit more. The feminine energy is like a slow trickle coming out of a faucet, a slow bathing of water. Too much water, and you will drown that which is being nurtured, that which is immature. Not enough water, and the plant, the animal, the person, the project, not enough stimulation, dies where it is, because it needs to have the water, that continuing attention from the female side of creation. So it is important that if you want to get something done in your life, you not only need to start the project, but you need to persevere in taking actions which always nurture your project, which nurture yourself. If you wish to bring out the best in yourself, and everyone here undoubtedly desires to be the most successful person they can be, and to have the most money that they can have, the most enjoyment in life, maybe even power in life, it's to see what it is that you need to give to nurture those aspects of yourself. You may need to feed yourself um, good words in the form of affirmations on a constant basis so that you can overcome perhaps times in your life that the messages that you received were not complimentary to yourself, did not did not stimulate you in such a way that you had desires to be successful or to have desires to excel more than other people. They may have diminished your enthusiasm for things by ridiculing you or ridiculing your desires or your aims or telling you that you are not able to achieve those things that you wish to achieve because you are somehow inferior. So you must use your feminine principle in yourself to nurture yourself, to bring about your greatest amount of power. So you need to tell yourself things such as, I am made up of the substance of God. Contemplate that for a little bit. I am made up of the substance of God. My being is part of God's being. For you truly are part of God's being. Have you considered that? I am part of God's being. You are part of God's being. Why is that? It is because everything in this creation is made up of the substance of God's being. In the beginning, God was all there was. And he created and brought everything into form. And the only thing he could use was himself, his ideas, his energies, his material aspects of himself, which you may call energy if you wish. But it is God's energy from which everything is made. So therefore, you too are the energy of God. And as you are the energy of God, you are made up of the substance of God's being. In a sense, you are God in all ways. You certainly are the God of your own world and the God of your own life. And you need to acknowledge that. Now, it is often difficult if you have not been properly nourished as a child or were given derogatory statements that made you feel less than you were. It is very important for you to correct those thoughts that made their way into your subconscious mind by the words and actions of either your parents, friends, neighbors, teachers. It does not matter if someone had an opinion about you and voiced it to you as a child. You probably took in that opinion and felt very bad if it was not complimentary for yourself, and perhaps very bewildered because you may not have understood at all what they were talking about. But the subconscious mind holds on to these things, and you need to correct whatever false impressions have been given about you. And the only way you can correct these things is by acknowledging who you really are. You really are a God in this creation. You shape the creation through your words and actions, through your decisions. You take care of more than just your life. You inspire others through your words and actions. You all know that if you have been around someone who is very happy, how happy you begin to feel. And similarly, if you are around someone who is very angry, you begin to feel not so happy. You may even join them in their anger over whatever they are angry at. And if they are just not happy, you may feel terrible. You see, those people around you are having an effect upon you. You have an effect upon the creation. When you go out in the morning and you smile at people that you see, perhaps you lift their day a little bit, but you lift your own day. You nurture yourself. If you think good thoughts, you nurture yourself. If your thoughts say, I am good, I am wonderful, I am accomplished, I am capable, I have great abilities, I have confidence in myself because I know I can do things well and good. It is one thing to think these things about yourself. It's another thing to say these things about yourself. And you need to say them to yourself. You need to say them out loud because this is how you nurture yourself. You affirm who you are. You articulate who you are. And in this way, you are nurturing your own well-being and yourself. When you say you have confidence in yourself, if you say it enough, you begin to feel it. And when you feel it, it is there for you. You have the confidence that you need to make decisions and make correct decisions. You can always say and nurture yourself with, I always make correct decisions. And anytime you align yourself with God, and in a sense, that is aligning yourself with that masculine energy that inspires and starts. That gives you more potential. That makes you stronger. So you need to think good things about yourself, to know yourself to be well, to know yourself to be healthy, to know yourself to be powerful, to acknowledge the way that you create in the universe. Because you say good things to people, and people can blossom. People, you can bring out the best in other people. You can encourage other people to have ideas. You can encourage good actions as you take good actions. And when you take good actions, you demonstrate the power that you have by creating what you want to create and doing it well. It is not always easy, but persistence pays off when you are working on creating something for yourself. Those who wish to be published authors suffer rejection a great deal. They send their creations out into the publishing world, hoping that someone will acknowledge it is worthy of being published in their magazine, as a book, whatever it is, being used as a play for the theater. They are hoping that is success for themselves. But while they are working on that success, they are getting rejection notices from people who don't need their work exactly as it has been given. They're not looking for another poem. They're not looking for another cartoon. They're not looking for another short story or a novelette like that. It doesn't fit with what they have in mind or their future projects. There are so many reasons that that person will be rejected. But as long as they continue at it, there is the possibility that the acceptance letter comes back in the mail. There is not a published author who has not received large numbers of rejections. Of course, after you are published, it gets easier. People now respect what you have to say or do. So then it seems like it is easy for you in the eyes of others. But the truth of the matter is, you persisted. You kept at it. You kept trying. You continued to make efforts to be creative in whichever way that you wish to be creative. You have to market yourself in a way to yourself. You have to say how wonderful you are, how accomplished you are, that you are good, that you are healthy, that you are happy, that you are successful. This constant repetition of these words will slowly change your aspect of yourself so that you become more confident, you become more successful, you achieve your goals much more easily. You feel as if you are in control of your life. And the only part that you are in control of on your life is those words that you say, those actions that you take, and the things that you do. The response of others or the response of the world outside of yourself is not necessarily within your control, but you can influence it through your thoughts and your words and your actions. For if your thoughts are confident, if your belief is that you are successful, and you are successful, whether or not it is accepted or demonstrated by others, if you know yourself to be successful, at some point in time, it will be demonstrated back to you, because like attracts like. And when you know you are successful, then you will be successful, simply because like attracts like. Your success begets and attracts your own success. But sometimes you need to have the success in your mind. So, what is it you need to change in your life? Think about that sometimes. Since you are the creator of your life, why are you creating something perhaps that you're not happy with? Almost everyone has something happen that is disappointing to themselves or makes them unhappy, and they feel it is outside their power to change, but it is not. For you can always change your perceptions on that outside event. If you see something is bad and you believe that it hurts you personally, then you will feel hurt and you will not be happy. But if you can change that thought to understand that it was not a personal thing that happened, it was just something that happened, perhaps. It rained on a day you wanted it to be sunny, or you needed it to be sunny to perform whatever you needed to do. It's not personal. The weather doesn't care what you need or what you know. And if you get hurt or you feel unhappy because the weather didn't cooperate with your wishes, then you are personalizing something that is impersonal. Why are you making that thing all about you? You need to think about those things. When you're unhappy, why am I unhappy? Am I unhappy because I did not want this to happen? Am I unhappy because it literally hurt me in some ways, caused me to be less, took away something that I valued? Did I lose something aside from my confidence or my self-esteem? You can live through these things. They will help you when you take care of yourself, when you nurture yourself, when you tell yourself that you have all the talents and the abilities. That is your feminine side, nurturing yourself. And so I hope perhaps the second part of my discussion here this evening has been more helpful, rather than the theoretical part of how the female nurtures everything in her life to bring things into conclusions that are happy to herself. And remembering that the female is always part of everyone. Everyone has a female aspect and a male aspect. And so when you use your female aspect to nurture yourself, to take care of yourself, to nurture those things in life which you value and wish to have more of in your life, then you truly are exercising your divine feminine in this way. So, are there any questions anyone might have in this evening?
Just to say that I came in late. I'm sorry, I wish I had been on time, but I just loved everything you said. And it's so true. I could identify with what you shared, and my childhood and feelings, and how that affected me as an adult. And it's never too late to change your script.
Oh, thank you for those words, because they are very correct. It is never too late to change your script. It is never too late to nurture yourself.
Right. And I thank you for that, for emphasizing it, because, you kind of, I've been around a long time, and I know all these things, but it's so nice to have the affirmation and the confirmation that it's, we are, um, how can I say it? We create our own reality, kind of. We are in charge of our lives.
You
And
absolutely create your own reality every day
we forget
by
that.
what you perceive
Mhm.
and the judgments that you make on things and the judgments you make on people and all the decisions you make. And everyone makes some decisions that are less than beneficial to themselves. We
Right.
might call them mistakes. They make mistakes. In other words, it didn't achieve the object that you hoped to achieve. It wasn't helping you to reach your goals. And you should not be angry with yourself when you make a mistake. You have simply eliminated one possibility from all the possibilities that were surrounding that situation. You did the best you could based on the knowledge that you had. And for those of you who experience the intuition, which is present with everyone, sometimes you may even have heard that little word, those words whispering in your ear or through your mind, which said, oh, maybe I should do it this other way. I wonder what's best. What about this other thing? But no, you decide to go ahead with what you would like most rather than looking at something else. And as a result, sometimes you don't get what it is you wanted to get. And then you need to nurture yourself and say, well, it's a mistake.
Mm.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained. And at least now you know that this will not work out. And so try it a different way to achieve your goal. See what else you can do to achieve your goal.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing it. It's lovely.
You are most welcome. Yes, life is filled with infinite possibilities in every moment, and that makes it necessary for you to make many judgments and many decisions in every day. And if you look at the number of decisions that you make in every day, and all these little decisions, as you drive to work, you are constantly making judgments and decisions on how fast you should go, how fast you can go around the turn. Is that car coming? You need to cut across the intersection. Is that car coming too fast? Will you make it safely across, or should you wait until he is through? There are so many decisions that you make in every day. And just because you make one wrong, well, it can ruin your day if you didn't see that car coming and you pulled out in front of it and it hits you. But it is not likely to be the end of things for you. But
It's funny that you mentioned that. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have had a few accidents in the last few years, and I'm sorry it has affected me deeply in that now I'm afraid to go on highways and do the things I used to do. And I don't know how to get over that. I want to go to Brooklyn again. I want to go to visit my sister who lives, several towns away, and my daughter who lives in another state. And I'm just fearful now, and I don't know how to get over it.
you have just acknowledged your fear, and that is a very good step toward getting over it. And now you need to say that I have learned from these accidents.
Oh,
And try and think about what you didn't do or what you did wrong if you were the cause of the accident. And then just say, I have learned. I will be more cautious when I drive and a little more careful. But I know that I can drive safely, and just demand that you yourself pay attention and make a small trip to begin with.
mhm.
I'm sure you make small trips now,
Yes, plenty.
but
Yeah.
use that your
I have a daughter. who lives in Nutley, which is 45 minutes away, and I could either take the Garden State Parkway or Route 80. And I guess I could start there because I haven't been able to do that.
Well, yes, just choose to go at an hour where the perhaps the traffic is not as bad, and just decide that you will make that trip. You make shorter trips and you do them safely. So you can drive a slightly longer one and do that safely. And tell yourself that and say you will be alert, you will be careful, you will drive successfully.
Thank you for giving me the courage to want to do that.
Well, yes, I'm glad that you feel a little courageous and move forward to help yourself.
Yes.
Or as you have said, you have many years of life you want to enjoy yet.
Right. Thank you. Because it is a limitation and it makes me feel that I'm restrained in some way that I won't be.
Well, that is a good thought, that you do not wish to be restrained, but it is, and that is expressed in a negative way. So you wish to be free, you wish to be able to go where you wish to go. And you can be alert enough and careful enough as a driver. You certainly did that for many years. And you will just continue in that vein to be as careful as you possibly can. And that sometimes the most difficult part of being careful is watching out for the other car who is not being careful.
That's another thing, right? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
For giving me this time. I appreciate it so much.
So I appreciate your comments. They were very helpful in reminding us that it's never too late to make the efforts to achieve the things that we want to achieve. Are there any more questions or comments?
Hi, Roncar. It's been a while. I finally made it. I want to just emphasize that too. I know that we talked about my job when I moved over from my old company. I did get a full-time position. It's been in effect. I guess this is now going on my third week, and things just came together to make that manifest, and I've been real excited about it. I got moved into another department, but I'm grateful for all the opportunity. I get to run back into my old department and still continue to sell appliances and whatnot. So I just want to emphasize that obviously creating your reality. I didn't know the timeline of when this was going to manifest, but I'm grateful that it finally came to fruition. And also I just got an award. They have it's a Service Star Award. And I was put in for that from management for the work that I do and support my coworkers and whatnot. So it to me was like the cherry on top. So thank you as always for, inspiring us and whatnot. And that's all I have to say.
And it's my pleasure to be of service in this way. And of course, you helped to manifest it for yourself by taking the actions that made you a desirable employee, so that they wanted to have you working more for them and have you there because you were contributing to the success of the company. So these were the actions that you were taking. You were willing to help others and do whatever you needed to do, which made you a valuable employee. And now you are full-time, and you have even gotten acknowledgement of the person that you are. So that is always satisfying. But a lot of it was knowing that you could be there someday and you were going to do it. Is that not true?
Very true. Yeah. Someone said to me, why do you go into other departments all the time and, help wherever it's needed? And I said, if I don't add value, then, management I'm referring to,
Right.
then they won't value me. If I add I actually said in the positive, I said, if I add value, then they will value me. And so being called the village idiot turned around, and that was by that individual. He doesn't feel that way now because he sees, the benefit of what I did. It wasn't, playing up to management in any way. It was something that needed to get done on the floor. I was willing to, step in and help out. And I think it's good business sense. I'm there to help, I'm there to serve the store and help the customers. So I haven't changed really who I am on the floor and the way I do things, but I did step up right from the beginning to really impart to them that I'm there to work. I'm not there to play and screw off. Not saying others do, but in general terms and whatnot. So they do appreciate it. So yeah, I'm real happy. Yeah.
Very good. And our congratulations on
Thank
your
you.
achievements. And I am so pleased that everything is going well for you at this time. You have persevered through many things, and you have nurtured things along as best you could, doing what you needed to do for your children, your husband, for yourself. You have worked very hard to create a good home for yourself and your family.
Yeah, I guess on that note, there has been a change with my husband stepping down from his position and going to another station. I was just curious if that's going to take hold for any length of time and if it's going to be productive for him. Because this is a major step, a major change for him, without going into too much personal detail.
Sure, I understand. I understand. One moment. Much as you were willing to demonstrate your willingness to work, his willingness to take different responsibility is making him more valuable as an individual within his company. Do you understand? Because he will be understanding things from more than one vantage point. And so therefore, he will be, at some point in time, he will be able to make important contributions to the smooth running of the, I don't want to say departments because I know that is the wrong word, but I don't know what the correct word is, but between
the station.
You use the term station.
Station.
So between stations and the differing responsibilities of these stations, he will be able to make contributions which will make things smoother. And so therefore, he will be recognized for that at some point in time.
Okay, because he wasn't sure what they were going to have him do. They're still working all the details out. I didn't know if he was going to be leaving the facility and having to make runs throughout the day, as a courier, or in the station and being there predominantly throughout the day. What did you say? Was he a courier?
Well, I didn't say which one he would be. I just said that he would
contribute, right?
That the different responsibilities that it will give him a broader vision so that he will be able to make contributions in the form of suggestions to management on how to improve some situations which will then be recognized and acknowledged.
Okay, good. Good. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Take some time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just plugging away. Raymond just told me he has an internship interview, so hopefully that will go well. And my my little one is still plugging away at the dorm. So that's where we're at. But thank you again. I know there's others with questions.
Perhaps. So I have other questions.
Well, yeah, there's always questions, always questions. There's no questions, I'll throw a question. So
Okay. Throw a question.
no one has a question?
Excuse me, I would like to go back to judgments and judging things, because I have a hard time, because I'm very quick to judge. I usually don't back off after I've judged something, but I don't see how that brings us to a godlike character. And I've tried to curtail it, but I'm not able.
Well, an interesting question. It depends upon what you are judging and whether your judgments are good for yourself, as well as, in a way, good for others. You see, the problem with judgments is when they make us unhappy. When I make a judgment about something that causes my own unhappiness, I have made a clearly wrong judgment. The most easiest example is if I judge that car is far enough away and going slower than it actually is, and I decide to pull out into the intersection, and suddenly he is in the intersection at the same time that I am there, then that was a very bad judgment. And it has brought unhappiness to myself because I was involved in an accident. So that happens. That's a simplistic way of looking at it, but that is true of all judgments. If the judgments that you make work out for you in your life, then they are good judgments. Even if you are judging that a person is not of the type that you want to be friends with or you want to work with or things like that, even though that may seem like it's a negative judgment, if it allows you to be happy in your life, then it's a good judgment. If you choose to think, oh, I must be charitable and I must welcome this person, even though I see that we are going to have a personality class and I judge that he does not work very hard. And if I get into this judgment, get into this situation with him, I might have to do half his work, but I will be charitable. That is not a good judgment. Being charitable, being helpful, doing things for people that cause harm for yourself is a bad judgment. So when you are judging yourself for being judgmental, perhaps you just need to look at the caliber of your judgments. Judgments sometimes are not right or wrong. It depends upon how you react to situations and your perceptions that are going on. Such if you judge someone as a lazy worker and you do not wish to work with someone who is lazy and doesn't do his share of the work, well, that as long as you don't mind doing his share of the work as well as your own, then you have made a perfectly good judgment, even if someone else would look at you and say, wow, that's irrational that she has decided to do this when she knows the person never performs the way they say they are going to perform or that they are expected to perform. So really, judgments need to be looked at as to how they are making you feel. Are they bringing about good things in your life? Or are your judgments bringing about bad results in your life? You have to make judgments. It's just part of life. You always have to judge. And so you should not be reluctant to judge, because you probably won't get very much done. You can't make many decisions unless you make judgments. But if your judgments help you and your life is good and you have no regrets over any of your judgments, it's normal to have a few, then you know you are doing the right thing. And you should not excoriate yourself and say, I should not be judging, because you need to judge. And you are the God of your world. And if you make judgments that cause you unhappiness, You have just created unhappiness for yourself. You have made a mistake, and you will suffer the consequences, in the sense that whatever it is, you will have to live with it for the time being until it can be rectified. You understand?
Yes, I do. I just get a little confused about when we're doing judgments and then we're gonna have life reviews. We're gonna see where we judged a little too harshly. I know that I do have that tendency to maybe I
Well,
need to take a step back and think about maybe judgments a little bit.
in your life review, you are not judged on whether you were judged harshly. You are judging yourself on the effects of your judgment. So that if your judgments do not cause yourself harm, and
Oh.
also if you do not cause harm to others, you can be as harsh as you may think. You are not causing someone harm necessarily if you make a harsh judgment by your terminology. It's only if your harsh judgment causes harm to someone, in the sense of not just because they are hurt by your judgment, but because there are much more than just emotional hurt. You are physically causing a problem for this person, this individual, which may not have been necessary. Then, that is a bad judgment that you have made. And perhaps you will be judged on that. You will see that in this cause, at this moment, that judgment was harmful and you did not do well. But if all your other judgments are harmless to others, but enhance your life, you see, it does not matter whether you are in this life considering that you are judging yourself and saying, I judge too harshly. Perhaps that is a bad judgment.
Maybe it is. Thank you.
You need to look at the consequences of your judgments.
Okay.
If other people are not hurt and it is better for yourself, it has been a good judgment.
All right. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Are there other questions? I believe Robin had another question.
I always have questions. And bear with, and I apologize for others if this question has already been asked, since I often work on a Tuesday night. So I might have missed it. I know with the mask, I went out to dinner with Mark tonight. That's why I'm running late. And I saw people with masks, people without masks, sitting down in the restaurant. There's a lot of confusion going on with all this. When is this going to settle down? And, we're going to get away in New Jersey, and we're not Florida, obviously, but when is this really going to shift for us and open things up more? I hear Cuomo is going to open up Broadway. Eventually they'll, be ready to put performances on. But what's the story with that? Thank you.
Well, you have asked me one question, and one questions are notoriously difficult for those of us in spirit to answer, since we do not have days. And it is terribly hard to find dates. So I cannot answer when. I can only say that it will be opening up fairly soon, because your governor is already taking steps to say that more people are allowed in places. He just wants to keep, I believe, the distancing in place. You can have as many people as you like. He is no longer saying only 50% occupancy, but he wants everyone to continue to be at a distance. Fairly soon, this is going to be seen as being irrational restrictions. And you are already seeing people who are refusing to follow these restrictions. And when enough people refuse to follow the restrictions, they can't possibly punish everyone so that they will have to rescind the restrictions. They are that is in the process of going on already, since so many people do no longer wish to follow these restrictions. And certainly I believe that if you were having dinner, you probably removed your mask so that you could eat. And most masks are not so well fitted anyway that they are protective against the virus, and it is an unnecessary restriction that does not really stop the spread of the virus.
Yeah, can you imagine? I had that conversation with my rheumatologist. They're so brainwashed, even within the medical field. I think they're fearful that they're going to lose their licenses, or they're going to be censured in some manner, or they're going to lose their patients. I'm not sure what, but I said to the doctor, it's like something going through a chain link fence. Anything can get through a chain link fence that's small enough. And this virus is, very, very small. So this mask is ridiculous. It was on the topic, of course, of vaccinations. And I know that's a very controversial subject. My sources have said, no, don't do it. I'm not going to use this platform, Norma and Bob's platform for that one. But, everyone has to go within and decide what is comfortable for them and, what resonates with their truth. I hope that we don't get into a World War II kind of scenario where the Jews wore badges, the Star of David. And as a Jew, very sensitive to that one. Okay, you have a passport now. You're going to have a stamp. And now you can go to that Broadway show. That's very dangerous that we could restrict people in that manner. I understand on a plane, you have a plane ticket. If you're going into a foreign country, you should have your shots updated in general terms and whatnot for the benefit of you, but you still can get on that plane up until COVID. No one's going to say you're going to Borneo. Did you have your shots for Borneo kind of thing? So I'm wondering if it's going to become more draconian with forcing people against their will to be vaccinated. Thank you.
When it comes to the vaccines, I think they are going to encourage you, but they will cease to, they will stop short of the kind of things that you are saying. If there is not another wave, they tend to call it, of illness. So they are going to be forced to stop many of these things when most people are healthy and you are not getting a great deal of illness. There may be lots of people who do not get the vaccinations, but there will be, and some of them may get the virus, but once they've recovered from the virus, they have immunity. So that the doubts they are expressing these days are merely doubts. I don't know. There seems to be someone talking, unless it is an echo of myself. It must be an echo of myself. So at any rate, they are going to eventually ease up on these restrictions. The virus is already in the United States, is on the decline. It is possible that come fall, there will be a slight increase in illness again, but it is not likely to be that over the summer. So it is important to just be patient with it. And if you wish to not be vaccinated, don't be vaccinated. If you wish not to wear your mask, don't wear your mask. Eventually, they will realize that it makes no difference whether or not people have on their masks or not. And they knew this, but people say things like, or think things, why doesn't the government do something? Why don't they stop this? And so they are trying to create the illusion that they are doing something. When they add these restrictions, they are doing something. For some people, this is a good thing, but eventually, even those people are thinking that it is not a good thing and that it has gone to extremes, which are not helpful in truly addressing the illness problem. If people have always been exposed to illnesses, and they have tried from time to time to stop people from doing things such as drinking alcohol. But what happened? People drank more of it rather than abstain from it, because now it became a fashionable thing to do, to go into a speakeasy or someplace and do this hidden consumption of alcoholic products. And eventually they saw the error of their ways and let it go. And there should be changes that will come. But it will come about when people such as yourself continue to vocalize or voice their annoyances and the stupidity of, or their opinions of the stupidity of the decisions that are being made. As for your rheumatologist being concerned about being censored, this is the result of perhaps medical associations which he must join and be part of to be successful in his field, that they could censor him in some way or censure him to also for whatever he says. And so it is just his own position of perceived powerlessness that he would want to make no waves, as it is said, for he feels that within his profession, he must not make waves in order to be successful.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's like really going to be awkward. Like I said earlier about some places getting a passport or at least a shot record, an immunization record. My family keeps asking me, well, when you get your vaccine, we can get together. And I'm saying to myself, gee, and I'm not a liar. It's not my habit to lie. I believe in truth. But I think in this case, just my own sanity, instead of them constantly pestering me, just say, yeah, I took care of it. I don't quite know how to address it. Any suggestions in that regard? Thank you.
No, I do not have suggestions in that regard. Eventually, that will cease to be an issue. Although the government has expressed the fact that if people do not get their vaccines, they are afraid we will not get to herd immunity. But they are only looking at the people who are getting vaccines and the percentage of the population who have vaccines as to their determination of what constitutes herd immunity, and not looking at the people who have recovered from COVID and saying, well, they have the same as the vaccine, and add the two numbers together, and you will see that they are much greater than they were. This may take a little time for this to happen, but eventually it will dawn upon the powers that be that they have to release things because they are not helping their positions. Perhaps after the next elections, if some governors are not reelected, and if certain people who have been very much on the bandwagon you are against do not get themselves reelected, people will have a new viewpoint. It's for their own good to no longer try to impose restrictions. And so they won't, because they will want to have you vote for them. They will be buying your vote by saying no restrictions.
Yeah, I agree. I just got something in the mail, matter of fact. Hirsch, I think is his name, something like that. no, it's Singh. And he said on the bottom of the card that I got, no restrictions, and I'm like, wow, in our lifetime, I would never have seen something like that or thought that I'd ever see something like that on a campaign postcard, but there it was. So yeah, it's already out there. Absolutely. I'm just hoping that humanity wakes up to the reality that this was all, I'm going to quote Charlie Ward, kabuki theater. Kabuki theater. And I'm kind of getting tired of the play. There's all kinds of rumor mills going around, even about Biden. He keeps slipping up, saying very nonsensical things. Some say that it's a double, others say other things. The word clone comes to mind, but I'm hoping he steps down, whatever or whoever he is. We need real leadership. So that's my take on that. Thank you.
Yes, that is your political opinion. Are there any more questions?
Not a question, but I would like to comment on something that Robin asked before about draconian measurements against the people who don't get the vaccine.
I'm having just
I
a little
guess,
I'm having just a little bit of trouble hearing you.
okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but it's as if your voice is muffled.
Oh, wait a minute. That's my headphone. Oh, let me see if I can disconnect it. Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Now try to give your question again.
Okay, it's my headphone. Can you hear me now?
I think I hear you better now. Thank you.
A little better.
Yes.
About the draconian measures against people who don't get the vaccine. I was reading in Apple News that
Now I don't hear you
Can you
speak.
hear me better?
I'm sorry. Did you just ask if I could hear you better?
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you better now, much better.
Okay. Some people are bribing their parents into getting vaccinated, threatening them with not allowing them to see the grandchildren
That is
or
true.
not being invited to the family gatherings. And I am in that boat because I didn't get, and I'm not planning on getting the vaccine. I wear the mask because they require it. I don't want them to throw me out of the supermarket. But when I go walking, when I go to the park, I don't wear a mask. I don't make big gatherings in my house, but I have a girlfriend, to come over for dinner, or if I get invited to something, we keep our distance, but we don't go to extremes like getting ridiculous and stupid about it. My neighbors are constantly asking me if I'm going to get the vaccine. And I think I'm going to end up doing the same thing, lying about it, because, it's a constant questioning. When are you getting your vaccine? When are you getting your vaccine? I don't want to get the vaccine. I don't believe in most of the things that are going on. I read from all the sources and I arrived to my own opinion. And my decision was not to go for it.
Yes, well, you have already made your decision, and the thing is to express yourself. You do not wish to lie, and I understand that. You can either choose to tell them that you have already done it, and in a sense be lying about it, just so they stop asking you questions, or you can simply say, I have decided I am not getting the vaccine. Do not ask me again. You know what my answer will be, and the answer is no. I do not feel that it is necessary or helpful to me. So therefore, I will not be getting it. If they have it, they are already immune. They will not be giving it to you, and they cannot get it from you should you get the virus.
Well, what I have heard is that the people who get vaccinated are going to be the dangerous people, because if they get it again, because there's no guarantee that they are completely immune to this virus, they're going to be asymptomatic, and then they are going to be the ones to give it to the one who didn't get the vaccine, who are healthy. That's what's been going around.
Yes,
So-
that is also a perception that is there, which is somewhat accurate. You see, when you are taking something that is possible and saying that it is happening, there are two different things. So you are not, you're emphasizing something that's not exactly true in most cases, that may be true occasionally, and turning it into a big obstacle. So
You're
that
right.
are the kind of judgments that,
Yeah,
since
yeah.
we were talking about judgments,
Mhm.
that can cause you trouble. So you have to make your own judgment as, and mine would be to recommend that you say, no, I am not getting it. There are many good reasons for me not to get it, so I am not getting it. Don't bother to ask me again.
Yeah, I
And
know.
then
I keep my ground.
they will know firmly, you will tell them firmly, and they will know. And so they will cease to either associate with you or not talk with you, or at least they will not bring up that subject. Tell
Yeah.
them you don't want to talk about that subject.
Yep, I agree with you. I agree with you. I do not intend to allow the subject to become a ground for bitterness and arguments. You know, I
Unhappiness.
don't need that in my life.
That's right. So you can just say, I allow you to have your opinion, you allow me to have my opinion, and they're different, but we can get along.
That's exactly what I said. Thank you for, validating me. The one concern that I do have is that the government makes mandatory to have what they call a vaccine passport, something like that. Last year, I was supposed to be traveling intensively with a girlfriend who was going to retire last year, and she didn't because of the pandemic. Now she retired this year, and we had really big plans for traveling. So I don't know how this is going to work out. If I have to show in my passport that I got vaccinated, because I'm not going to give in.
Well, it is not at this point in time a requirement to
No,
show
it's not.
have been vaccinated. So do not worry about things that may not come into being.
You're right. Again, thank you for reminding me.
Yes, think positive that you're going to have a wonderful trip wherever you
Yes.
decide to go. And should the government suddenly make that mandatory, well, then you will have to find a different way of coping. And maybe you have to confine your traveling to going by car around the United States.
Well, we were thinking of Europe. We were thinking of Israel, Turkey, France, doing it like 1 month at a time, extensive traveling. I don't know how those countries are going to, also what rules they're going to be implementing.
Right. We don't know those things, but when you decide that we shall go on this date to this country, or this is what we would like to do, and then you investigate it, you will know. And
That's right.
Out, you will simply make changes in whatever way that you need to make changes so that you can enjoy yourself.
One day at a time. We'll cross the bridge when we get to it.
Yes.
Thank you.
You are most welcome. And it has been a pleasure to be with everyone in this evening. Are there more questions? Well, that seems to be it for the evening then. So we will end the evening, and I will say good night. Juana will be coming back. If anyone has a question for Juana, feel free to ask it of Juana. And I give you all my blessings. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm back. Okay. Are there any questions for me? No, that's okay. Well, I'm going to say goodnight too. Remember, I love you all. Good night.
Good night.
Okay, and we had an interesting evening. Uh, discussion of the virus. So let's see. Bob is coming in to do something here. Stop.